Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we're jumping into something I think pretty much everyone can relate to at some point. We're asking, why do we miss the obvious signs in love? And our inspiration for this, well, it comes partly from that 2009 movie, He's Just Not That Into You. But really, this isn't just about analyzing a rom-com. It's about getting into those real, sometimes really confusing emotional patterns that pop up when we start liking someone. Just think about it for a second. Have you ever been there, caught in that loop, just endlessly overthinking every tiny thing? You know exactly what I mean. Did he watch my Instagram story? Or why hasn't he texted back? It's been hours. And maybe the biggest one. Okay, he hasn't made a move. Does that mean something good? Like, is he nervous? It's wild how our minds can just, spiral. Always searching for clues, trying to answer that one big question. Does he actually like me? And wow, social media, it just throws gasoline on that fire, doesn't it? Makes us wait and watch for these tiny little signs. Acknowledgement.
Yeah, and what's really striking about the material we're looking at today, much like the movie itself, is how it hits you with this really simple, almost blunt truth. It basically says, look, we often cling so hard to these fantasies we've built up. We choose to see every vague signal as proof of what we want to be true, instead of, just seeing what's actually there. We tell ourselves these little stories, right? Oh, he's just really busy right now, or he seems shy, maybe that's it, or even he's probably just waiting for the perfect moment.
Yeah.
But the core point here, and what we really want to dig into, is that real interest. It's usually not some big mystery you have to decode. When someone genuinely cares, the insights suggest they make it pretty clear through what they do. So our mission today really is to unpack why we ignore what seems obvious and learn how to spot real interest through actions, not just hopeful thinking.
That idea is so potent that real interest shouldn't leave you constantly guessing, and yet it feels incredibly difficult for us to actually absorb that sometimes. Why is that? What makes us fight against accepting something that seems so straightforward, even when, maybe, the signs are right there?
That's a great question, and it really cuts to the chase of what our sources are digging into. It's not just about being, naive or something. There's some pretty deep psychological things going on. A huge factor is just the comfort we find in fantasy. Simple as that sometimes. Reality, especially a reality that might involve rejection, well, that can hurt a lot. And our brains are incredibly good at spinning narratives that shield us from that potential pain. So the story that he's just shy or, oh, he's swamped at work feels much, much better than admitting maybe he's just not that interested. We turn into these amateur detectives, right? Picking up these tiny, maybe insignificant clues and trying to assemble them into the big romantic picture we want, even when the overall pattern points somewhere else entirely. It's not just wishful thinking. It's like our brains are actively seeking proof for what we hope is true, a kind of self-protective bias.
That totally clicks. It's like we have our own little internal spin doctor working 24/7. And I guess that ties directly into how we feel about ourselves too, right? Our self-worth. Because if you're basing how valuable you feel on whether someone texts you back, well, the stakes suddenly feel incredibly high.
Absolutely spot on. The material really emphasizes how easily we can link our own sense of worth to getting that external validation, especially in romance. If he messages you, great, you feel good, worthy. If there's silence, suddenly you're questioning your own value, and that creates this enormous pressure to interpret everything, every action, or even lack of action, as some kind of judgment on how desirable you are. It's a really dangerous cycle because it keeps you chasing approval instead of, feeling okay from the inside out. So when someone pulls back a bit, instead of just seeing it as maybe their lack of interest, we often flip it and ask, what did I do wrong? Or what's wrong with me? That whole external validation trap, it's a massive roadblock to seeing things clearly.
Right. And then you layer on top of all that internal stuff, just the sheer messiness of modern dating. It makes it even harder, doesn't it? You've got casual hookups, you've got ghosting, people have endless options on apps. It almost feels like the whole system is designed to keep us guessing.
You've hit it exactly. The sheer uncertainty of how we date now plays a massive role in muddying the waters. Our sources talk a lot about how things like ghosting becoming common or the rise of very casual dating, plus just the sheer number of choices.
Yeah.
You can make signals incredibly hard to read.
Yeah.
There often isn't that same emphasis on, say, clear communication anymore. It's more about ambiguous texts or inconsistent plans, which leaves us constantly analyzing, trying to figure things out. People might be less direct, maybe because they want to avoid awkwardness, or maybe just to keep their options open. And that forces us into becoming these reluctant decoders of every little interaction. It's an environment that makes it really tough to tell genuine interest apart from just, convenience or someone passing time.
Okay, so that's the landscape. We've got our internal biases, the self-worth stuff tangled up in it, plus all this external confusion from modern dating. how do we actually cut through that noise? What does the research, what do these insights point to as the clearest signal, the thing to really watch for?
Well, the really profound lesson, I think, that comes out of this deep dive is pretty straightforward, even if it's hard to accept sometimes. It's that genuine interest, real affection. It shouldn't leave you feeling constantly confused or insecure. The right person, or at least someone genuinely interested, the research suggests, won't make you constantly question if you matter to them. They tend to show you consistently. And this isn't just about the words they use, but really fundamentally, it's about what they do. It boils down to consistent action over just, comforting words or flimsy excuses. That clarity you feel when someone genuinely values your time and presence, that's a hallmark of a real connection.
Okay, so let's bring this home for you listening right now. What does this all mean for truly knowing if someone's actually invested? The absolute core takeaway from everything we've looked at seems to be this. Watch what someone does, not what they say, to explain away their lack of doing. It sounds almost too simple, but really, if someone genuinely likes you, they find time for you. They make the effort, period. There aren't endless valid excuses that constantly prevent them from showing up in some way. And here's where it gets really empowering for you. You need to check in with yourself regularly. Honestly, how does this connection actually feel? Do you feel basically secure, appreciated, valued? Or are you mostly feeling anxious, always second-guessing, running scenarios in your head? Our sources really stress that sometimes the toughest, but also the most freeing thing is to just admit it to yourself. Okay, maybe. He's just not that into me. Getting that clarity, even if it stings at first, can be such a huge relief. It's a powerful step towards valuing yourself.
Exactly. The fundamental message that really shines through is that genuine affection doesn't usually need a decoder ring. It tends to reveal itself pretty clearly through consistent effort, through presence, through action.
So if you find yourself stuck, perpetually analyzing those mixed signals, always trying to piece together this romantic puzzle that just keeps changing shape, maybe it's time to flip the question. Instead of endlessly asking, what does this action or inaction mean? Maybe ask yourself this. If it takes this much guesswork, if it requires this much mental energy just to figure out where you stand, is he really that into you? Or are you perhaps more invested in a hopeful story than in the actual reality playing out? That's a question really worth sitting with for your own peace of mind and, yeah, ultimately for your own self-worth.